Welcome to Pilates. Are you ready? We're going to start in vertical today, standing. So if you choose, you can wear shoes. If not, it's perfectly fine to be barefoot. We're going to work a lot of the internal and external rotation and also the abduction and the adduction standing. And we'll get that out of the way, warm up our body while we're doing it, and then we'll go to the floor. So I think you've got a good view of my chair, and you're going to need today to start class a chair or a counter or a wall for your balance. You're also going to need a mat. You're going to need either a ring or a ball or a thick towel. And for our stretching, you'll need the ring or a thick towel or a strap. So, ready to go? Let's start in standing position, vertical. This is Ron Fletcher Pilates bar work, taught to me from my first original training. Ron was a protege of Joseph Pilates, so it was really an honor to train under him and understand the true meaning of what Joseph Pilates was trying to come across. So, stand tall. Check your posture. So important. The head, the top of the head is reaching out to the top of the ceiling. The neck is long. The shoulders over the ribs over the hips over the knees over the ankle. We're in a parallel position with our legs right under our hips. The first thing we're going to do is lift the right knee, but we're not going to lift the hip with it. Keep the hip down and in neutral. And we're just going to pump up. Find your abs. Everything's sponsored by your abs. Pump up for 8. And then move to the side without moving your pelvis and pump up for 8 more. Now 4 in the front and 4 in the side. 4 in the front, 4 in the side. Now 2 and 2, 2 and 2, 2 and 2. Keep it under control. Don't let anything move. Keep that trunk really strong. Now singles. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Leave that knee at hip height. Draw a figure 8 on the floor horizontally. And we're going to work it internally and then externally. Try to keep that knee at hip height. The standing leg is long, strong, and lifted. Let's do 4 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. All right, warming up those legs. Now back to parallel. We're going to take our toe out to the side. Keep the knee forward. Don't turn out. And we're going to do some abduction here. And this is called the hot potato. We're going to tap up, tap up, tap up. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Tiny taps, hot potato, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, cross the midline. Now we are going to turn out from the pelvis. Right here, we're going to lift with our inner thigh. Flex the foot. You're crossing the midline. Lift it. 2. Working on the diagonal here. 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Point it, flex it. Point it, flex it. Point, flex, point, flex. Lift a little higher. Lift, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One more set. 2, you're going to feel that in that standing leg. 5, 6, 7, 8. Point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, point. Now find a focal point and hold it. And lower. Good job. All right. So that is a little wake up for this leg. Now we're going to go to the other leg. So from here, we're going to put our legs right under our hips in parallel. Stand tall, abs in, heart high. Lift the left leg. Let's try that again. Lift it so you don't feel anything move in the pelvis. How's that? And lift. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 3, 2, 1. 4, 4. Now 2. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. 4 more. 2 more. And just back and forth in singles. Take your place out and draw your 8. 1, 2. Pelvis is quiet. The only thing moving is the leg. 4 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. We'll bring so much blood flow to the hip opening, working all the different angles of it. Now we're going to stand on our right leg, point our left leg, knee forward, abduction right here. Tap. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Tiny movement, but working very deeply. Now, abduction. Bring the foot across the midline of the body. Work from the inner thigh, not the quad. Flex the foot. Lift from that inner thigh. This is inner thigh work. Lift. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Point it, flex it. Diagonal, crossing the midline of the body here. Now lift it a little higher and lift. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1 more. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it. Point, flex, point, flex, point, flex, point, flex. Find your balance and hold for 4, 3, 2, lower. Good job. All right. Before we go to the floor, if you have a ring, great. If you don't, you can use a ball. And if you don't have anything, you can still do the movement without any of these objects. But we're going to do some chest opening exercises along with working the tricep muscles of the arm. We're going to put our ring or our arms behind us. Now we're going to pull those navels in and we're going to shine those collarbones to the ceiling. You're in parallel position. Pick up the shoulders and then press them down. So you have to have a wide open chest and a real engagement, a recruitment of the shoulder blades. And we're just going to lift. You'll feel that on the back of the arm, and you'll also feel a wonderful stretch through the front of the chest. Now these look like they're easy, but after a few repetitions they get difficult. You'll feel the exhaustion of the arm muscles as you keep going. And one more set of these. Good. Stay open. Now all I want you to do is bend your elbows and reach long. Bend and reach. When you bend, try to keep your elbows in, not out. Bend, reach. Bend, reach. Bend, reach. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now, one more set of long, then bend. Long, bend. Reach, bend. Reach, bend. 8, 7, 6. Keep that chest open. Abs in. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it, breathe, and release. Oh, feels so good. Nice and open here, ready to start our work. So we're going to go to the floor now. If you have on shoes, you can take them off. Our Pilates mat work should be done barefoot. And guess what? We're going to do some planks first. Get them out of the way. So I'm standing tall here. I think I'm going to need to change the angle so you can see my mat a little better. Let me start down here. And we're going to roll down, and you can bend your knees and walk out until you hit the plank. How's that? Now, if you want to stay down on your knees, that's fine. If you want to go to your elbows, that's fine. You choose. And let's hold it here, pulling that navel deep into the spine and breathing. 8, 7. Try not to arch your back. A straight line from the head to the toes. 7, 6, 5. Keep breathing. 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now, turn. If you need to put one knee down, that's fine. And hold it. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and turn. 8, 7, 6, 5. Keep breathing. 4, 3, 2, come back down. Hold for 4, 3, 2, 1. And child's pose. After that little breather, we're going to do our final plank, and that's the reverse plank. So you can do that with bent knees also, or you can do it with straight legs. Make sure that your heels are posted deep into the floor. Your hand position can be either here, which is a little easier, or here, which is a little more difficult if you have a tight chest. So you choose what's best for you. Pull your abs in. Collarbones are happy to the ceiling. And lift up and hold. Keep the chest open. Keep the legs long. Pull the abs in. Look down your body, one straight line for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and you are done with your planks. So now we can move on to our articulations and our ab work. This takes place in supine position. We're going to post our feet. Check our upper body. Neck is long. If you need a little pillow under here, feel free. Just to keep your neck in line with your spine. Arms are long. The back of the arms are on the floor, not here. That's closing your chest. Keep your arms on the floor. Wrap your ribs. Sink your belly. Lift your pelvic floor. make sure the pelvis is neutral. We're starting in neutral here. And then we're going to move out of neutral into pelvic tilt. And then move back through neutral into the arch. Up. This is slow and controlled, and down. Up and down. Up and down. Up and down. Now circle. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Reverse your circle. 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Now from here, let's hold it. Let's hold it right there. We're going to go all the way up the spine. We're going to start with the pelvic tilt, pass through the waist, then pass through the low ribs, then up to the shoulder blades, a little past the shoulder blades, until you are in a bridge position. Now we're going to inhale, and we're going to pass through the shoulder blades, coming down, the low rib, the waist, the top of the hips, to the tailbone. This is called articulation, meaning you pass through each vertebra one at a time. The bony landmarks I'm calling out, so you take your time to pass through each one, not all at once, individually, sequentially. Let's try it again. Inhale, exhale up. And then all the way down. Massaging that spine. Good job. Now from here, we're going to go up, stay up, and we're going to do some marching. Keeping the pelvis quiet while the legs do the work. Take an inhale, exhale up, stay there. Now to maintain your position, you need to make sure that your legs are active, your glutes are working, your abs are in, your ribs are wrapped. And we're going to march with one leg only 8 times. 1. Try to keep that pelvis from moving. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Change sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Maintaining the height of your bridge and the quiet, stable pelvis. Now we're going to march individually. Much more difficult because you're going to really have to turn on those glutes and hams and abs to keep your hips from swaying. So let's take an inhale. March left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. One more set. Left, right. Hold it there. Let's articulate back down. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Good job. All right, let's do a little bit of inner thigh work while we're bridging. You can do a ball or a ring or a thick towel. And you're going to put that between your legs. And you're going to find the pelvis neutral again. That means tailbone on. And the tailbone, the pubic bone, and the navel are on the same plane, not tipped up or not arched. Just in that neutral position. Wrap your ribs. Take a deep inhale and squeeze, squeeze, squeeze inward, inward, working those inner thighs. Squeeze. Keep your feet posted. Breathe. 8 more squeezes. Pelvis quiet. Breathing. Now hold that Hold that for 8 counts. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. It's a static hold. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now we're going to articulate up the spine like we did before, but we're going to squeeze that object, ball, ring, towel throughout. Keep it squeezing. Let's start. Ready? Inhale, tuck up, and roll through the spine. 2, 3, and 4. There you go. You're up there now. Squeeze again. 2, 3, 4. This is building great back body strength. And 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Turn on your glutes. Hold it there. Now we're going to do a flat back tap. So we're just going to tap the bottom down and lift it up. Tap it down, lift it up. Tap it down, lift it up. 8, up. 7, up. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it there. Roll down. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All right. Good job. Okay. One last bridge. This is the suspension bridge. Another back body strengthener. Legs long. You're in a full laid out supine position. You're going to bend your knees slightly. Really important not to let your legs turn out. Keep those legs lined up with the hips, the knees, and the toes. Everything is in one track, and it's a slight bend, just a slight bend of the knee. And you're going to lift off your entire pelvis off the floor and hold it. It's not a high lift, it's a hovering. And hold it. You'll feel the hamstrings kick in right away. The upper body is active but not moving. For 8, 7, 6, hover. Nothing touches on the bottom. It feels like it's low to the ground, but it's not touching. For 4, 3, 2, 1. Great. Now let's stretch that out before we move on. Bring the knees into the chest. Circle. And reverse. And it's now time for the abdominal series. So, let's start in tabletop. Let's bring our arms up to 90 degrees. Plug your arms into your shoulder joint. Wide open chest. We're going to take an inhale, and we're going to exhale. And we're going to flap our arms long and start the 100. Ready. Choose your leg position. In, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. Breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. 5 in, 5 out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5. In, out. In, out. In, out. In, out. Squeeze your inner thighs and heels together. In, out. 2 more. In, out. In, and out. Good job. The 100. Now comes the roll up. It's not necessary to come up all the way, especially if you're struggling through the movement. It's more important to do the preliminary up and lower until you build your strength. If you are going to come up and your low back seems to be tight, I recommend a little roll under the waist. It's got to be little, it can't be big. It's got to be about 1.5 inches thick. And you put that right at the waist, and it helps facilitate that tight area. So let's just do a couple preps first. We're going to inhale, and then we're going to exhale, and then we're going to come back down. That's your prep. You've got to get that rib hinge in there. Ready? Inhale, exhale, and back down. So now you can continue on with that, or you can try to come up, as long as you articulate through the spine and use your abs. Inhale, exhale, reaching, and back. Inhale, exhale, scoop that belly around the spine, and then back. Use your breath. Again, inhale, rounding through the spine, and back. One more. Make sure your feet are flexed. It helps with the movement. This is your last one. Inhale, exhale. And reach. Good job. Time for some leg circles. So we're going to lift one leg into the air without moving the pelvis. Lengthen through the back of the knee, slightly turned out from the hip. Upper body is active, but not moving. Cross the midline and come around. Cross, around. Cross, around. Cross, around. Cross, around. Now reverse the circle. Out, down, in, and up. Two more. Square your hips to the ceiling. Bring that leg down and lift the other. Square off the hips. Cross the midline. Breathe. Wrap your ribs, sink your belly. Two more circles. And then reverse. The circles don't have to be big, especially if you're moving through the pelvis. You want to stabilize, then move your leg. Bring it down, come up, and we're going to do rolling like a ball. Pull our heels into our glutes, round through the back, so you're in a C curve in your spine. Your shoulders are down, your chest is wide. Squeeze those inner thighs together and ankles. Eyes over the body, looking down towards the pubic bone. Let's inhale as we roll back. Exhale as you come forward. Inhale, exhale. Two more. One more. Hold it there. Let's take one leg out, one leg bent. Roll back to the tips of the shoulder blades. And let's switch legs. One, switch, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let's do the double leg stretches. Arms up, legs out, circle around. Up, circle. Up, circle. Up, circle. Up. 4 more. 4, 3, 2, last one, scissor. Right leg in the air, left leg down. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. 1, 2, switch. One more. Head down. Chest open. Arms long. Take your legs out and then cross them. 3 times. Out, cross. Pelvis neutral. Ribs wrapped, abs in, and breathe. 3 crosses, out, in, 3 crosses, 1 more. Okay, this one's hard. Hands behind. Roll to the tips of the shoulder blades. Exhale down, inhale up. Really important to keep those legs glued together. And up. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Exhale, down, inhale, up. Tabletop, crisscross. 1 leg at a time. Rotate through the upper body. Stabilize through the lower body. Breathe. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good job. So that is the abdominal 5 series, the active series with the abs. Now we're going to stretch to release all those abs, the sternum to the pubic bone, and take a deep breath. It's okay to arch the back because that releases all this, and then exhale. Melt into the floor on the exhale. Inhale and melt. 1 more. Inhale and melt. Good job. All right, we're going to come up for spine stretch forward. So bring your knees in, roll up. Take your place into a seat, a tall seat. Legs long, arms out, and we're going to go forward. Inhale, exhale, over, 2, 3, 4. Come back, 2, 3, 4. We're going to peel off the wall, invisible wall. Inhale, peel, 2, 3, and 4. Come back, 2, 3, and 4. So I'm going to call out the bony locations as you peel off the wall. Inhale, exhale, the neck, the shoulders, the shoulder blades, the low rib, the waist, the top of the hips. Now I'm going to call out the bony parts on the way back. The top of the hips, the waist, the low ribs, the shoulder blades, the shoulders, the neck, and then the head. 1 more time, use your breath. Inhale. Cinch that belly into the spine, over. Come back. Good job. All right. Open leg rocker. Come to the edge of your mat. Lift your legs. Widen them to the width of your mat. The knees and the toes are on the same plane. The ankles are not down. They're up there with the knees. Elbows are broad. Low back is rounded. Chest is high. Eyes on the horizon. Inhale. As you roll, exhale. Come back and lift. When you go down, when you go back, look downward towards your pubic bone. Inhale. Look down. Bring your eyes back to the horizon. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. 1 more. Exhale. Inhale. And if you choose full legs, more difficult, pull your abs in, find your powerhouse, lengthen through your legs. Inhale at the top. Look down. Exhale. Roll back up. Exhale. Up. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale and hold. Chest is high. Eyes on the horizon. Breathe. Bring your legs together. Roll back down. Let's do the corkscrew. The corkscrew comes up to 12 o'clock, rolls around the clock, and comes back to the center. Everything from the waist down is moving. Everything from the waist up is stable. Let's give that a try. Up, circle, stop. Reverse your circle. Up, circle, stop. Up, circle, stop. Up, circle, stop. Come in, roll up, and let's take our place for the saw. So we're going to make sure that our feet are flexed and we're sitting really tall. Bend your knees if that helps. Arms are out, and we're going to rotate to the right, twist, and then we're going to look behind us and reach forward in a rounded spine. Come back up, and then back to center. When you reach forward, try to feel both sitting bones placed firmly, equally onto the floor, not one lifting with each movement. So keep in concrete from the waist down. Turn, reach, up, back to center. 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 The one thing you want to avoid while you're doing those twists, the upper body is doing the twist. The lower body is not shifting through the pelvis. That's not good. You want to keep your pelvis stabilized. And that way you have to flex your feet, you have to pull your abs in, and you have to press the sitting bones deep into the floor to help to avoid this movement with your legs. The legs are completely quiet and stabilized when you're doing this. Okay, so now from here we're going to close our legs and we're going to go to prone position. So that's going to be facing this direction. Our elbows are broad, and we're going to point, flex, point, and lower. Make sure your upper body has integrity. Make sure it's not slouching or being lazy. It needs to be up, and it needs to be alert, and the collarbones are wide, and the heart is shining to the ceiling. The blades are in and down. Point, flex, point, lower. Point, flex, point, lower. Point, flex, point, lower. Point, flex, point, lower. Point, flex, point, and lower. Keep the legs long. Turn the head. Come down to the floor. Place the hands at the small of the back and internally rotate from your shoulders and drop your elbows to the floor. Lengthen out through your legs. Keep them on the floor. And then we're just going to reach up. The upper body is into an extended spine, arching. Hold. And then turn your head the other direction. Hands to the small of the back. Drop the elbows and kick 3 times. 1, 2, 3. Up. Turn. 1, 2, 3. When you go up and you lengthen through your legs and arms, you should feel that whole back activate. All those muscles are working. Turn. 1, 2, 3. Up. And turn. 1, 2, 3. Good job. Come up. And let's take a nice little respite here. And we're going to go into quadruped. In quadruped, we're going to stabilize through the trunk and move through the arms and legs. This is called bird dog. The knees are right under the hips. The hands are right under the shoulders. The back is very, very long. It's not arching, it's not rounding, it's very long. And we're going to lift our left arm and our right leg without moving through the trunk. Not easy to do. Got to use those abs to make it work. 1 and in. 2 and in. 3 and in. 4 in. 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold it there. Lengthen out. Shoulders down. Breathe for 4, 3, 2, change. Hard to keep the balance, but you really have to find that powerhouse and your focal point to make it work. Now we're going to go to the other leg. Let's go slowly up. Up. Shoulders down. Bring it in. Bring it out. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. 4. Out. 3. Out. 2. Reach. 1. Hold. Shoulders down, legs long for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Good job. All right. Let's come into a seated position. And we're going to practice the neck pull. The neck pull prep, I should say. So you're going to start in that tall seated position. You can bend your knees if you need to. Always modify the exercise to fit you. Shoulders are down, chest is open. Now we're going to take our hands and place them behind our head with our elbows wide. Try to shine your heart to the ceiling. Don't cave into this. Keep long. And we're going to go back 45 degrees. Look diagonally to the ceiling. Now, I'm going to start my roundedness through my low back first. And I'm going to go back as far as I can. And then I'm going to C-curve forward, dropping my shoulders. Eyes are looking at the knees. Keep that neck in neutral alignment with the spine. And then from the base of the spine to the top of the head, we're going to unfurl. Okay? There's a lot going on in this exercise. So be careful, take it slow. Make sure you're engaged in your powerhouse throughout. That protects you. Keep your back long to start, elbows broad, 45 degrees back. Round through the tail. Then through the upper back, over and hold. Pull the belly in. Restack the spine. Sit tall. Back again. And then undo, you want to do butt belly ribs here. You're here in the C curve. Then you come forward, folding, folding, folding over the legs. Don't collapse in the midsection. Pull the navel in, restack. Up. Let's do 2 more. Back. And then butt belly ribs. There you go. Now come forward and fold, fold, fold. Eyes over the knees. Restack. 1 more. Use your breath. So I did 3 breaths, 3 full breaths in that exercise. I'll demonstrate that 1 more time. I kept the breath going to keep the control of the core and of the movement. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. So 3 full breaths. Good job. Okay, now from here, let's come into a little more oblique work. And you can do this on your elbows, or you can do this with full arm. Elbows are a little easier. Your low back gets a little more support because you're down lower. You choose what's best for you. Put your legs in tabletop. Squeeze your inner thighs together. Hold your chest high. Go to the right and to the left and circle up and around. Now, it's important not to shift through your legs when you do this. Squeeze those inner thighs and knees and ankles together. Left, right, up, around. Right, left, up, around. This is called the can-can. Left, right, up, around. Keep the chest open. Breathe. Right, left, up, around. Left, right, up, and around. Good job. All right, let's go to prone again. We're going to do the swim series. So, let's roll onto our bellies. And just to get our backs ready for the arching, let's just sit in this position for a minute. Let's talk about it. Our legs are long. The tripod of our hip, the two hip bones and the pubic bone, are pressing into the floor. From the waist up, you want to try to be off the floor into an extended back position. Hips on, belly off. Belly up into your spine and off. I want you to relax your glutes. Don't tighten them up here. And just relax into this arched position to prepare the body for all the extended work we're about to do. We're going to reach long through the arms, shoulders. You're going to pull those arms into the shoulder joint. Don't let them come up and touch your ears. That's not a congruent position for your upper body. Let's lift the thighs off, lift the arms off, opposite arm, opposite leg. The trunk is totally stable as you swim through the water. Pull that navel in and breathe. 8 more. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. No wiggle wobbles in the trunk. 3, 2, 1. Now from here, we're going to lift the arms, spiral them around, legs stay on the floor, arch, up, arch, up, arch. 4, 3, 2, 1. Now get those shoulders together, blades together, palms up, thighs off, up. Straight in the air, palms up. Squeeze those shoulder blades together, open the chest, thighs off. For 8 more. 7, 6, 5. Keep breathing. 4, 3, 2, 1. Hold it there and release into the child's pose again. It comes in handy between each series of exercises. Okay, it's time for the Mermaid series. So from here, we're going to do the snake in parts to teach it correctly, and then we'll move into the mermaid. But it takes place in this bent knee, seated position. So for the snake, the top leg goes to the front of the mat, and the bottom leg goes to the back of the mat. The position to start is in a rotated position with your hands out as far as you can get them. Okay, and you want to try to get, it's difficult to get your shoulders to face down, face squarely to the floor, not opened up, but squarely. And from here, you're going to pivot up into the downward dog. Press your heels into the floor, the length of the spine, and the stretch of the hamstrings. And then we're going to walk out into plank hold that plank, and then just give your upper back a little arch. Come back to plank, pass through into downward dog. Feels so good in the calves to stretch. And then come up on your toes, pivot, and come back down. So that's the snake. I'm going to round it out a little more. Not take any time in any position, but keep it circular and continuous. But we'll still do it slow. So get those hands out there, because if you don't, it's too hard. You can't have them in here. They have to be out to hit that planked position. Remember that top leg's towards the front of the mat. Let's pivot up into downward dog. Pass through the plank, front plank, then a little arch. Pull that navel in. Come back to downward dog. Toes up, pivot down. And there you go. That's the snake on one side. So from there, we'll move right into the mermaid. Let's put our knees into a tight position. Some of you will go tighter than others, depending on your flexion of your knees. Drop your shoulders and feel that stretch. Great for the obliques. Open it up wide. External, internal rotation. And reach. And circle. Circle, circle, circle. Back into that side bend. And then into that rotated position, kind of like the way you were for the snake. Pull the abs in. You're going to feel a nice stretch through the right leg, glute medius and minimus. Side, come back, and we're going to do the snake on this side now. Top leg in the front, bottom leg in the back. Rotate and get those hands out. Pull the navel in. Your powerhouse has to be working. Your shoulders have to be down. Pivot up into downward dog. Come forward and pass through the plank. A little upper body arch. Come back through plank into downward dog. Pivot and come down. Good job. One more. The snake. He named a lot of his exercises after animals. So there's a monkey, there's an elephant, and now we're doing the snake. Ready? Inhale. Press those heels, lengthen through the spine, pull the navel in, come up into plank, a little bit of an arch, come back through plank, into downward dog, and then into the mermaid seated position. The one thing I love about Pilates is it's always moving. You don't hold positions too long. You're constantly moving. And even though you might be focusing on the abs, say for the ab work, you're still using every muscle in your body. So it's a very, very full body workout. You don't do a lot of anything. You just keep moving. You never do so much repetition that you can be injured as overuse injury. It's safe for the body, but it's a great workout at the same time. External, internal. Let's go this direction now. Feel that side bend. Arm goes behind 4 times. Side bend again. And then into the rotation. Pull the navel into the spine. Feel the stretch through the externally rotated leg. Back up and over. Good job. It's time to do our stretches. Roll back. You can use a ring. You can use a towel. You can use a strap. Going to lengthen through the back of that knee. Place that entire pelvis area into neutral. No hiking, no tilting, and hold. Shoulders are down, elbows are broad. Let's take an inhale and an exhale. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Take it out and hold it. Nice inner thigh stretch, moving it into the IT band. Change hands, flex the foot, keep the hip close to the floor as you stretch out that whole outer leg area. Back up and change legs. Pelvis neutral, flex foot, back of the knee long. Everything should be in proper alignment to get the best possible stretch. Breathing. In Pilates, always in through the nose, out through the mouth. Take it out to the side. Take a couple more breaths. We really work those inner thighs today, so it's important to stretch them. Flex the foot, IT band. Back up. You can bend your knees here and roll up. And find that comfortable spot on the floor with both sitting bones pressing equally into the floor. Roll your shoulders. Reverse it. Now let's just bobble head. I don't want any tension in your neck. You might want to close your eyes so you don't get too dizzy. And then lengthen out through the neck. The crown of the head is reaching towards the ceiling. The collarbones are wide. The shoulders are back. The hands come down, and you're going to go right ear to right shoulder here. Just feel that stretch through the upper traps. A lot of tension we put in our necks. Back to center and to the other side. Come back to center. Make sure that neck is long, and you're going to look right and left and right and left and right and left. Look up, back to center, up, back to center. One more, up, back to center. Let's take 3 full breaths. An inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Ready? All the way in, all the air out. In, fill those lungs, out. One more, in, out. Great job. I'll be here on Monday at 10 o'clock. My cardio fusion class is at 9 o'clock on Monday. So I hope to see you there. Have a great weekend. Be safe and see you next week.